What if your parents were so done with your social awkwardness that they literally hired someone to be your girlfriend? No Tinder, no awkward DMs, just a business transaction with a pretty bow on top. Sounds efficient, honestly. But as always, feelings have absolutely zero respect for contracts. And that's exactly where our story begins. Our story kicks off with Maddie, a woman who is clearly running on caffeine, chaos, and credit card debt. We catch her rushing out of her house because Gary, a government officer and, plot twist, one of her many ex-boyfriends, is there to repossess her car. Here's the backstory. Before passing away, Maddie's mother took out a bank loan and built a house, leaving it for Maddie as a final gift. Sweet, right? Except now Maddie is the one stuck paying off that loan, working double shifts, bartending at a beer bar during the day and driving a cab at night. So yes, that car isn't just a car. That car is her livelihood. Seeing Gary about to drive away with it, Maddie goes full damage control mode, sweet-talking, smiling. But then, from inside the house, a guy in just his underwear wanders out mid-workout, completely oblivious to the situation. Maddie quickly covers. Her cousin, from Italy, totally normal. Gary looks at the man, looks at Maddie, puts two and two together with the efficiency of a government employee who's done this before, tosses the car on his truck, and drives off without a word. Carless, Maddie straps on her skates and heads to work, because life doesn't pause for heartbreak or repo men. On the road, fate works in her favor. She spots her car sitting unattended outside a shop while Gary is inside. She makes her move, rushes over, unhooks the tow truck cable, or at least tries to. She completely forgets to actually detach the rope, so when she floors it, the car doesn't budge an inch. Gary walks out, watches this unfold in real time, and wordlessly repossesses the car again. It's painful. It's hilarious. Maddie is 0 for 2. Defeated, Maddie heads to her friends Sarah and Jim to vent. Sarah, bless her heart, is already scrolling through second-hand car listings when she suddenly stops and reads out something far more interesting. A wealthy family is looking for a young woman between 20 and 25 years old to be a paid girlfriend for their 19-year-old son. The pitch? Their son Percy is academically brilliant, the kind of kid who aces every test, but socially, he's a disaster. He doesn't leave the house. He doesn't talk to people at school. He's terrified of parties, cigarettes, girls, and basically everything that isn't a short-form video on his phone. With university starting next year, his parents are genuinely worried he'll implode the moment he's left alone in a dorm. The payment? A brand new car. There's one obvious problem. Maddie is noticeably older than the stated age range, but after a quick debate with her friends and a hard look at her bank account, she decides she's doing it anyway. A car is a car. She skates all the way to the family's house, meets Percy's parents, and gets the full briefing. Their son is brilliant but broken, won't leave the house, won't talk to anyone, spends his free time glued to short videos. They want Maddie to befriend him, loosen him up, and help him face the world before university starts. The reward is the car. The one rule: Percy can never know this was arranged. Maddie agrees. Deal done. Maddie shows up to the designated meeting spot, a pet adoption shop, dressed in a striking red outfit, ready to make an impression. Percy is there, lanky and visibly uncomfortable with the concept of existing in public. Maddie tries every trick. Playful conversation, light teasing, the classic, let me give you a ride home offer. Percy declines every single one, so Maddie does what any reasonable person would do. She physically picks up Percy's bicycle, loads it into her van, and smiles at him like, well, now you have to come with me. Backed into a corner, Percy reluctantly climbs in. In the van, Maddie jokes that she's kidnapping him and then casually steers away from his house. Percy, having apparently never been taught to distinguish jokes from threats, whips out a pepper spray and blasts her in the face the moment the van stops. Maddie stumbles out, eyes burning, pointing out the obvious. If she was kidnapping him, why would she take him to her own house? Percy absorbs this information, processes it, then, by way of apology, turns the garden hose on her. Full blast. Drenched, stinging, and somehow still charmed by this absolute menace, Maddie manages to get him to agree to a date that evening. Percy shows up to the club that night wearing a blazer on top and shorts on the bottom. The entire venue notices. Maddie, to her credit, compliments him without a trace of irony, and somehow that small act of kindness loosens Percy up just enough for them to actually talk. Things get awkward briefly when Maddie's ex Travis strolls over, engagement ring sparkling, eager to narrate their entire history to Percy like a one-man podcast. Maddie exits that conversation as fast as humanly possible and redirects their evening to a private beach, which, for the record, is off limits after 8 p.m., and Percy can't swim particularly well. Details. One thing leads to another, and the two end up in the water with considerably fewer clothes than they started with. Then a group of strangers wanders over and casually walks off with their things. Maddie, still in the water, still barely dressed, storms out and chases them down with the energy of someone who has absolutely nothing left to lose. She retrieves their belongings. Back in the water, when Maddie tries to get closer, Percy pumps the brakes. He tells her he doesn't know her well enough yet, and he's not ready. Maddie, annoyed, gets out and drives off. Except Percy is still hanging off the front of the moving car, fully exposed in every sense of the word because she refused to give him his phone. The police get involved. There's a high-speed escape. At one terrifying moment, Maddie guns it across a railway crossing with a train seconds away. They survive. Barely. That night at Maddie's place, the mood shifts again. Music, proximity, and the distinct sense that something is about to happen until Percy breaks out in a full-body rash. Maddie applies the cream. They talk. Percy apologizes for the evening's repeated disasters and promises tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow is better. The two spend the day together properly, exploring, laughing, being genuinely good company for each other. At one point, Maddie opens up about her father, who never accepted her. Percy listens. They share a kiss. They also run into Percy's friend Jody, who pulls Maddie aside while Percy isn't looking and delivers a blunt warning. He knows girls like her. Percy is a good person, and if anything happens to him because of her, there will be consequences. Maddie says nothing, but the words land. That evening, dressed up and out for dinner, Percy surprises everyone, including Maddie, by sitting down at a restaurant piano and playing a full song. The room stops. People applaud. It's a genuinely lovely moment until Percy's classmate Natalie appears, invites him to a party, and cheerfully mentions they'll be attending the same university. Percy beams. He tells Maddie afterward that he's getting his driver's license so he can come visit her on weekends. In the car on the way back, slightly drunk on both wine and feelings, Percy tells Maddie he loves her, that he wants to be with her, that he's ready. Maddie stops him, gently, citing the alcohol. But the real reason is eating her alive. He doesn't know this is a contract. He's falling in love with a business arrangement and has absolutely no idea. The next day, Percy tells his parents the news. New girlfriend, no more university. He's staying home. As far as Percy is concerned, love has arrived, and geography is negotiable. His parents, panicking, immediately call Maddie. They tell her the car is hers. Just convince Percy to go to university. What they don't realize is that Percy is sitting in his dad's car, and the vehicle's onboard system picks up the entire conversation. He hears everything. Percy invites Maddie over that same evening. He doesn't confront her directly at first. Instead, he seats her at the dinner table with his parents and starts casually making jokes about her age, each one landing like a small, deliberate knife. Then he gets up and leaves mid-meal. He then drives to where the promised car is kept and, with help from a friend, destroys it. When he comes home, he coldly invites Maddie to his room, not out of love, but out of spite. It's his way of reclaiming something. Predictably, it goes nowhere. First times rarely do under these circumstances. Afterward, Percy tells her calmly that a tree fell on her car. Maddie hears those words and immediately understands. He knows. Percy tells her he thought she actually liked him, that he thought it was real. Maddie insists it was real, that the deal was about keeping her house, but the feelings were entirely genuine. Percy doesn't believe her or can't bring himself to, and tells her to leave. Maddie goes home and falls apart. She knows she played a role in hurting someone who trusted her completely, and that knowledge doesn't sit quietly. She blames herself constantly. Percy retreats back into the version of himself he was before Maddie. Games, short videos, walls up, curtains drawn. He's not healed. He's just hiding again. Eventually, Maddie goes to find him. She tells him that what they had was real, that the friendship was genuine, that she hates herself for how things unfolded. Percy walks away, gets in his car. Maddie follows him across the parking lot, still talking, still trying, and then she grabs onto the front of his moving car. Again. Percy drives slowly toward a beach, which, if you've been paying attention, is a recurring theme in this story. The car rolls into the water. Maddie goes in with it. Percy gets out immediately, pulls her to shore, and sits with her on the wet sand. Maddie apologizes, fully, quietly, without excuses. Percy looks at her for a long moment and then pulls her into a hug. He forgives her. That's all she needed to hear. In the final scene, Percy is packed and ready, bags by the door. He says goodbye to his parents with a calm confidence that simply didn't exist at the start of this story and steps outside. Maddie is standing there, leaning against a car, grinning. She asks if anyone needs a cab. Percy laughs, and that's where we leave them. No grand declaration, no slow-motion kiss in the rain. Just two people who genuinely changed each other, standing in the driveway, figuring out what comes next. Because here's the thing about this story. Yes, it started as a transaction. But somewhere between the pepper spray, the hose down, the beach disasters, and the borrowed piano at a restaurant, something real got built. Maddie didn't just teach Percy how to show up in the world. Percy reminded Maddie that she was worth showing up for. And sometimes, the best love stories are the ones that were never supposed to happen at all.